Today, we're going to look at replicating data and metadata from an on-prem CDH cluster to an Oracle Big Data Service or BDS or DH cluster running in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or OCI. Here, we can see our CDH cluster running on-prem. When we go to View in our CDH cluster, we can see that we have a database called BDA1. We can also see that we have a table into this database and that we already have some data in it. On the Oracle side, we have our OCI console, and here we can see our BDS cluster. In this cluster, when we go to View, we can see that we only have the default database. This is the Sierra Data Migrator or LDM UI. The process to enable our data and metadata transfer starts by creating a source and a target file systems. In this instance, I have already created the resources that we need. So here I have my source file system, and here I have my BDS cluster. If I wanted to add a new file system, all I have to do is go here, select the type of system that I want to add, and then enter the values that are required for its configuration. In the case of the Metastore agents, I have here also my source agent and my metadata agent talking to my BDS cluster. Similar as with adding a file system, all I have to do to add a Metastore is indicate the file system that is going to be related with, and then enter the appropriate configuration for the file system. The next step that we need to do after adding our data and metadata agents is to create our migrations. We will start by creating our data migration. So the first step is to add a friendly name to the migration, indicate our source and target, then direct the migration to where our source data is, make a migration type live. This will allow for continuous replication of our data. And finally, we will auto-start the migration and create it. As you can see, our migration now is in a live status. That means the initial data has been migrated, and we are monitoring the file system in case any changes happen, and then those will be migrated or replicated. The next step is to add our metadata migration. So first, we select here. We give a friendly name to it. We select our source, our target. We indicate a pattern that we're going to be using for the database and also the tables. And as before, I'm going to start the migration automatically. And just like our data transfer agent, our migration, metadata migration, is in a live state. Let's go back to View in BDS. If we now look at our databases, we can see now that the BDA1 database has been replicated. And if we look at the context of the table that we have, we can see that we have exactly the same information that we had in our CDH cluster. Going back to our CDH cluster, we will add more data to our database. And here we can see that the new data has been added to our table. Going back to our ODH cluster, we can see that our table has already been updated and it reflects the same amount of data as in our on-prem cluster. This completes our demonstration. Thank you for your time.